Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are decoding Paul Brunson's highly mechanical approach to human connection. We're taking the deep science of relationships and translating it into an actionable blueprint, which is especially crucial if you're a high achiever. We're going to look at how relationship success isn't just about pure luck. It's a completely formulaic result of self-optimization, emotional intimacy, and really intentional time. Brunson often talks about how he seeks out the underdog because he remembers exactly what it felt like to be pushed against the glass. And that radical empathy and analytical rigor, they stem directly from his own past. After pivoting from the hyper-competitive world of investment banking, he realized that our deepest purpose often comes from navigating life as an outsider. He built this massive global brand by championing those who felt invisible, proving that our greatest pains can literally transform into our most potent strengths. So think of this explainer like building a house. Here's our blueprint. 1. The foundation of connection. 2. High achievers and attachment. 3. Bridging the intimacy gap. 4. Decoding love languages. 5. Rituals of lasting bonds. And 6. The power of weak ties. Let's dive right in. Part 1. The foundation of generational blueprints. We've got to start from the ground up by examining the subconscious maps we inherit from our earliest family structures, because this is where your relationship story actually begins. To build a real, meaningful bond, you have to dig way past superficial desires. Brunson calls this the fifth why. It's the core mechanistic necessity driving our profound need for emotional safety. It's that deep-seated reason that keeps a person up at night, craving a true witness to their life. If we don't address this foundational need, any relationship built on top of it is just going to crumble. Think about it. Our very first model of love gives us this invisible set of instructions we just subconsciously follow as adults. If you grew up seeing high conflict or emotional withdrawal, you might find yourself automatically drawn to toxic patterns. But actually, here's the really good news. Those maps are not your destiny. Through intentional unlearning, you can consciously draft an entirely new, functional blueprint for your life. Moving on to part 2, the framework. High achievers and attachment. We're looking at the structural framework of how we operate romantically, which is absolutely critical for those of you who are highly driven in your careers. Modern relationship science basically categorizes our romantic interactions into 3 primary operating systems. These dictate how we process intimacy and emotional threats. Secure attachment allows for a healthy balance of closeness. Anxious and avoidant styles, though, they often lock partners into a super frustrating cycle of pursuit and withdrawal. So what operating system do you default to? Understanding your baseline is step 1. And this brings us to a massive blind spot for successful folks. High-achieving entrepreneurs are often avoidants because they've had to develop extreme self-reliance to survive. But those exact lone wolf mechanisms that make you a huge success in the boardroom, they often create an impenetrable, invisible barrier in your living room. What wins in business can actively destroy vulnerability at home. But the goal of all this work isn't to stay trapped in your baseline programming. It's to systematically upgrade to what experts call earned security. It's the incredibly uncomfortable art of staying present when every instinct in your body is screaming at you to pull away. Very often, a secure partner acts as the catalyst for this, giving you the emotional anchor needed to safely test out vulnerability and literally rewire your nervous system. Now let's talk about the walls of our house in part 3, bridging the intimacy gap. This is all about crossing that threshold of vulnerability to close the emotional distance. Because look, emotional transparency is the absolute bedrock of a partnership. As Brunson points out, if you don't have the courage to be seen entirely without the armor of success, you simply don't have a relationship. You're just managing a surface-level situationship with a coworker or an acquaintance. Real intimacy requires the daily, unfiltered practice of naming emotions as they arise. Let's look at how this plays out in the gender communication gap because it highlights a huge blind spot. Men frequently process their romantic lives in total isolation, operating entirely within their own echo chamber and repeating the same mistakes. Women, on the other hand, typically utilize a robust, collaborative feedback loop with friends to debrief dynamics. If we want to improve our relationship KPIs, we literally have to shift from solitary stoicism to collaborative processing. Moving into the interior of our connection with part 4, decoding love languages. Here, we have to mechanically align our efforts with what our partner actually needs. And this is a serious question you need to ask yourself. Are you speaking a foreign emotional language? You might be investing heavily, but if you're just projecting your own needs instead of observing theirs, your efforts are going to consistently miss the mark. We naturally give love the way we want to receive it, creating this profound barrier where our hard work just goes completely unrecognized. Brunson shared a super personal revelation about this from his own marriage. He realized his wife saw love through gifts, not because she was materialistic, but because her father used to shower her with them. That was her truth. It was a mechanical necessity tied directly to her childhood blueprint of safety. He had to unlearn his own biases to speak her language, and doing so fundamentally shifted the emotional atmosphere of their home.
All right, part 5, maintenance and the rituals of lasting bonds. Because a beautifully built house still requires rigorous upkeep.
And that upkeep means investing our most precious resource, undivided attention. Effort always equals interest. Whatever is important to you has to be aggressively protected in your calendar. If you let a relationship exist solely in the digital gaps of your day, it will eventually starve. You have to carve out that non-negotiable space where the phones are put away. And what happens when the heat rises? Avoiding friction just leads to silent resentment. Instead, you need a tactical approach to healthy conflict. First, choose a neutral, calm context. Don't fight when you're exhausted. Second, set boundaries so no one turns into a bully. And third, absolutely no kitchen sinking. You cannot drug up every unrelated past grievance during an argument. Stick to these rules to dismantle bad patterns without breaking your bond. Finally, part 6, the neighborhood and the power of weak ties. Let's step outside our house and explore some highly counterintuitive data behind our broader social networks. 120. Take a really good look at that number. This is where your most life-changing opportunities are actually hiding out. Not your top 5 friends, but your 120th connection. The surprising point here is that your inner circle shares your exact biases and data. They're an insulated bubble. Statistically, enormous career deals and romantic introductions come from that 120th friend on the periphery. Those acquaintances act as vital bridges to entirely new ecosystems and perspectives. You have to step beyond the familiar. The data shows a massive ROI for maintaining a wide, diverse social ecosystem. Intentionally stepping outside your comfort zone to host diverse gatherings prevents psychological stagnation, keeps your brain incredibly sharp, and acts as a constant source of resilience. It's literally the ultimate insurance policy for your personal growth. As we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a real provocative challenge. What invisible blueprint are you currently drafting for the next generation to inherit? Are you just passively repeating your baseline childhood programming because it's comfortable? Or are you actively architecting a legacy of secure connection? Think about that for a while and keep learning.